Layla Shaver here with your 5 and 5. So today we want to talk about the 5 cybersecurity challenges facing RAs and the 5 things you can do today to address those challenges. Now, why am I talking about cybersecurity, right? Because all of you want to ignore it anyway. Yes, I said it. We work with so many firms, and only some of you have cyber insurance. Only some of you use some sort of vendor to do cybersecurity training. Only some of you have encryption available through your email. But it's a big deal. If you look at the regulators, both state and federal level, there are tons of rules they're suggesting to put in place that would require you to have robust cybersecurity systems. I mean, let's be real. Do you even have a cybersecurity policy? Yeah. I didn't think so. Do you even know what you have to do if you get hacked? Who are you going to call? Not Ghostbusters. They ain't doing shit for you. Cybersecurity is a big deal, and we have seen cyber attacks go crazy since 2020 in the pandemic. And the regulators are taking note. So now is the time to hear me now tell you the 5 biggest challenges facing your firm and what you need to do today to make sure you address it. So let's get started. So the biggest, most common type of cybersecurity attack is phishing, right? You get an email, it looks like it's coming from Microsoft that you need to reset your password. You get a text message, you get a phone call, and they're phishing, right? They are looking for you to divulge personally identifiable information so that they can use that to hack you, to take over your identity, to get credit cards in your name. And that is the most common type of attack. So these are things that you want to alert your team on. You want to test them on whether they're gonna click on the phishing email. Oftentimes it looks like a valid email, for example, from Microsoft, but when you click on the email address, it's like donjuan@julio.com. The second kind of threat to your cybersecurity are actually insider threats. I'm talking about your employees, your staff, your access people. They have access to personally identifiable information. They have access to sensitive data. If you're allowing people, for example, to access that data through personal cell phones, personal computers, you can really open up that vulnerability to your system because of your staff. So it's super important to be very clear on what they are required to do when accessing data through personal devices, and that's if you allow them to do so through their personal devices. The third type of risk to your cybersecurity are actually third-party risks. So many of us, this firm included, we're virtual, we use cloud-based providers. And you have a requirement to do your due diligence on these third-party providers and to at least annually review whether or not they've had any hacks. You know, how many of you have gotten an email from Target that your credit card number was hacked from them 5 years ago, right? Like, that's a third-party risk. So you want to make sure that you are verifying with your vendors what kind of cybersecurity infrastructure they have in place. What are their methods and responses to potential hacks? What happens if that data they're securing for you gets hacked? What are their responsibilities? How the hell are they going to make sure you and your clients are protected? So third-party risks are a big area of risk when it comes to your cybersecurity. Fourth area of risk when it comes to cybersecurity, and yes, you know I'm going to say it because I'm a #compliance nerd. Compliance policies and procedures. Do you have a cybersecurity policy? Does it tell your employees this is the kind of password you have to set? It has to be 12 characters. It has to have numbers and special characters, upper and lowercase letters. You know, have you identified what is the response if something happens? Do you realize what privacy laws your firm is subject to? Are you subject to Europe's GDPR? Are you subject to California's privacy laws? What about Reg SP? What about all these other different federal and state privacy laws that you may be subject to? Are you complying with them? Policies and procedures, y'all, protects you. But you have to be informed and you have to train your staff on what are all the different regulations that govern your business and how you're going to comply with them. Now, the fifth biggest risk, of course, is you can have all the documentation in the world. You can have the best vendors. You can have an amazing, IT company that is there like Superman when anything goes wrong. But none of that means anything if you don't train your people. If they're not aware of the resources, they're not aware of the policies and procedures, they're not aware of the requirements, they aren't receiving the training, it means jack. So the biggest thing that you have to focus on is training. And if you're not doing training, it's a huge risk to your cybersecurity program. So let's talk about the 5 things you can do today to address all of these potential threats, right? I don't want to scare you, but you should be scared. Yes. I mean, think about it. As financial advisors, everyone across the world knows you've got social security numbers, account numbers, full legal names, beneficiary information. If you're running credit cards, you may have credit card information. God knows how many offices I've walked into. Y'all got tax returns. Yep, sitting on a desk. You've gone out to lunch. It's just sitting there. You know what I mean? So you've got to protect this data. One of the easiest things you can implement is encryption. Email encryption. I know you've got some admin, some assistant, some junior advisor, someone who doesn't know any better in your office that's sending new account paperwork, unencrypted, unsecure, through email. I can't tell you how many firms we've helped this year get a provider in place because their emails got hacked and they were sending new account paperwork that was completed unsecurely. And now they're paying for credit monitoring. They had to pay for an IT company. They're having to disclose in their ADV2A brochure that they were hacked. So, easy solution you can do today, add encryption to your email. Start there. Second thing you can implement today, access controls. Access controls. Don't look at me like, what the hell are you talking about? Access controls. All right, so let's talk about access. So for example, you can only log into Redtail if you have a firm email address, right? Redtail comes with multi-factor authentication. Someone's logging in because it's a firm approved email address. Maybe you've got something like Dropbox or Box or OneDrive that you're using in your firm. You can actually create different levels of permissions so that only certain types of people can access certain types of data. So managing your access. Managing access also means identifying IP numbers, identifying devices that are approved to access your systems. Maybe you don't want people to use their personal devices. And you say, no, I'm going to issue you a firm computer and you can only access our systems that way. And that way, if you see an unauthorized device trying to access your systems, you can reject them and get them off your system. So implementing those access controls are super important, and it's something you can actually get done today. I promise. The third thing you can get done today, and yes, you can hand this over to your compliance folks. If you don't have one, give us a call. You know what I mean? Do due diligence on your third-party providers. You can find a lot of information from your third-party vendors online. You can reach out to their customer service, get a copy of their cybersecurity policy. They have to disclose if they've been hacked or there's been anything that's happened with any personally identifiable information. You can get this information from your vendors, and you should, at least on an annual basis, request that updated information and maintain it in your compliance books and records to show you've done that due diligence. If you're finding you have a vendor that has multiple cyber issues, then that's a flag for you to find a different vendor. And if they can't give you a cyber policy, they can't tell you if they have cyber insurance, they don't know if they've ever been hacked, honey, run. Go to the next vendor as soon as possible. And yes, you can do that today. You know what I'm going to say next. Policies, procedures, policies, procedures. You need to have a cybersecurity policy and procedure. This is going to tell your team, this is going to tell your vendors, these are our requirements when it comes to cybersecurity. These are our expectations. This is how we respond to potential threats. This is how we lock down our systems and ensure that our investors' information is protected. And you can create a really good standard cybersecurity policy in one day. Yes, it's totally possible. And you want to make sure that you're implementing these controls, these policies and procedures. You want them documented and you want them accessible to everyone in your firm. And of course, what's the point of doing any of this if you don't tell anyone about it? So make sure you're doing routine and consistent training. Look, technology is changing faster. It's progressing faster. There's all new types of apps and things going on nowadays. You know, I feel like I'm starting to feel my age because I'm like, I'm still on Facebook. With all the other old people on Facebook now. I'm too old to learn a new social media platform. Yes, I'm at that point in my life. And I know so many of you are as well. But you have to continue to train. You have to continue to talk with your staff. And implementing certain vendors that have fake phishing emails, they send routine training to your team. These are great vendors and measures to implement to ensure your team is staying up to date on the newest types of hacks, the newest ways in which people are trying to steal the personally identifiable information that you are holding in your firm. So, I know you're exhausted, cybersecurity. But now you know the 5 biggest threats to your business and the 5 things you can do today. And if you need help on getting a cybersecurity policy in place, doing training and figuring out all these different things, especially since the SEC is likely to implement these new cybersecurity rules this year, then give us a call, 770-462-2118. Let our compliance nerds take care of you.